कदम लेते हुए तेरी याद आती है, कदम कदम लेते हुए तेरी याद आती है। जहाँ भी देखो वहाँ ही तो तू ही तू ही, जहाँ भी देखो वहाँ भी तो तू ही तू ही। गुरुजी आप ही तो अवतार हो, गुरुजी आप ही तो अवतार हो। ब्रह्मा विष्णु गणेश गोविंद अल्लाह बुद्धा महेश्वरा, ब्रह्मा विष्णु गणेश गोविंद अल्लाह बुद्धा महेश्वरा। आप ही सबके स्वरूप हो, आप ही सबके स्वरूप हो। प्यार से हम सब जीते हैं, आपके प्यार से हम सब जीते हैं। ओ गुरुजी आप ही तो अवतार हो, गुरुजी आप ही तो।
Krishna had a form, and they tried to convince his dad, saying, nah, it's not possible. How Krishna had that? And the daddies are saying, nah, this is not. But I like the music, and you're a little hippie, like to chant and dance, so it's very nice. Prasadam, very nice. One day, Omkara Das Prabhu, today he's in Argentine, somebody told me. He's saying to me, you have to come to visit. Why? Because we'll come to visit the sannyas. Say, what is that? But come and you will see. I don't remember a lot of things that year because it's a lot of time, yes? But in a moment I sit there and I saw like an angel. I remember that I saw that, I don't know what is that Tridandi, but I love that Tridandi. And I saw the color, the orange color, I love the orange color, and I see this, I love it, everything. What is that? I become like idiot. I go after, and Jagajivan Prabhu say, come on inside, there is a, and they finish the lecture, so come on. I go after him with a few people, and we sit there. And from that moment, really, something radical began to happen. I sit there like I remember I saw Jagajivan Prabhu begin to chant Jayarada Madhava, and his eyes begin to change, really, his face, the mouth, everything, like Krishna. And I felt that Krishna saying, oh, where is your logic now? And I said, what happens here? And in a moment, like 20 minutes, and some devotees say, hey, Prabhu, what's happening with you? And I felt full of love. And I remember the lecture, I remember. I can tell you the lecture, but I don't want all of you to follow it. I remember the lecture. Some ladies say, I practice Buddhism and I chant Om Namah Shivaya and I go to, so, and Jagajivan Prabhu says, so chant Hare Krishna. And everybody laughed. And she said, why everybody laugh? Because we are happy. Because this particular word is me. I remember every word, everything. It's incredible. 78. I was like everything, every thought, how we hand. And he began to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna. In some moment he looked at me. These eyes looked at me, and I felt that somebody, through that eye, somebody loved me. And strong. That for somebody really important. I thought, what is that? And in that moment he came to the front of the dentist, already time, he's in my right side, and he chanted, and I see his face, his eyes. In that moment, I become convinced of everything. There is God. The first time that I remember I sat in front of him, he began to chant Jaya Radha Madhava, and I never forget, and I please. Everybody wants to know.
Maharaj remembers all these things. My memory is completely with age. It goes, I can't.
Not so many years ago, 78.
It's almost 30 years ago. It's a long time. Some of these are not even 30. Some of them.
Most of them.
I was very surprised to get this communication from him. So sometimes we speak about Krishna, and we don't know what result will be there. You know, we don't know what result will be there. So this is a very nice result. Best result from Krishna consciousness. Some words. And as he was Maharaj was explaining, sometimes we may be inspired by Krishna, and Krishna may almost through us speak. You know, this is what Prabhupada meant by transparent via media. So we have to be humbly permit Krishna to speak through us like this, and therefore we must know what Krishna is saying. So that's very important. What Krishna is saying, so he can speak through us, or Prabhupada, or the Acharyas can speak through us. So I was very surprised to hear from him that sometimes we doubt what effectiveness our preaching is to people, and I was very so pleased and surprised that somehow or other someone has accepted this Krishna consciousness. So I was very surprised, happily surprised. I was so, sometimes we are, as Maharaj explains, we go through different positions, different colors. If we remain fixed, in Krishna consciousness, in spite of our changing material position, just like our body is programmed in a particular way. When we're born into this body, there's a program that comes with the body. But Krishna consciousness is transcendental to that programming. It's another programming that changes everything. But the programming of the body might go on. But Krishna consciousness is above that. It's transcendental to that. So that is what we're presenting. So it's very nice that Maharaj has remembered some, although I have so many bad qualities, Maharaj has remembered some of the good qualities. So that's what a devotee does. He sees the good in devotees. He doesn't see the bad part. So he has his heart is open because he feels the love for everyone. Because Krishna is present in everyone's body. So it's so nice that you have joined Maharaj to be able to present this Krishna consciousness. So this is the first time I came to Ratiyatra Festival in New York.
Wow.
First time, and I was able to meet you. There I was seeing someone in front of me chanting and dancing. And who is this sannyasi chanting? Trying to be so happy. So I was, I didn't know it was him, And then someone came to me and said, "Oh, he's here. He's here, and this and that." And then I remembered how much we were communicating at one time by internet, And then I don't know what happened. Stopped. I hadn't come to New York at that time. I was always thinking when I come to New York to get in touch with you. And now so many nice, I see so many effulgent, bright-faced devotees. Very nice. This is my wife, Bhakti-priya. She's from Russia also. Chelyabinsk and Russian. And she is a very talented singer.
Hare Rama
something karmatic is here because Jagajivan Das Prabhu was born in New York, so he came close. You can never know, he came to Chile, so far away, to give this darshan, this meeting. And after that I went to the Middle East, so many years, 22 years, to come to New York and to meet here in New York. Something we can never know. I think I say many times the great lesson for me, this lesson in my life is that when you preach, when you talk about Krishna, you can never know.
Later I'll explain some stories about that.
Yeah.
Other stories, interesting. And we can I can speak about Prabhupada also.
Yeah.
Things about Prabhupada.
Yeah.
You know?
So once I was in Los Angeles, and Srila Prabhupada was there. This was in 1972 or 73, something like that. And I was the president of the Temple of Puerto Rico at the time. It was the first temple president. Today's the Puerto Rico Day Parade. So I was the first president there. And Prabhupada was there, and I was thinking it would be nice to make some preparation for Prabhupada. Cook something for him. So I immediately went and cooked some, I think it was eggplant parmesan, I don't know, something like that. And I went to, but I had to alert Śaktipāta, who was then Prabhupada's servant, that I had to tell him that the preparation was ready. So Prabhupada at that time was taking a massage in his garden. He had this little garden in the Los Angeles temple. And he was taking, Sat-saṅgs was giving him a massage in the garden. So I came in quietly and I went up to Śaktipāta to tell him I had made this preparation, if he could just put it on Prabhupada's plate. So I told him that. When Prabhupada saw me, he motioned to me to come to him. I just went out to tell him about the preparation. Now I was getting sucked in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada motioned to me to sit down in front of him on the grass. So I sat on the grass, and then he had Śaktipāta he didn't want me to sit on the grass. He had someone bring something, a seat for me. He didn't want me to sit on the grass. So he had someone bring a seat for me. So I sat on this mat there. So Prabhupada looked at me, he said, "When God sees, you see. Accept or refute." He said, "Accept it or refute it." Mamma mia! Oh. So I began to get jitters. Then I told Prabhupada, of course, Prabhupada, you're my spiritual master. Whatever you say, I accept. I was thinking I would be able to get out of it by just saying that. But then Prabhupada looked at me and said, "But how do you accept?" Oh. So the speculative machine of my mind started thinking, I started speculating. Well, Mahavishnu, Srila Prabhupada, by his glancing over the material energy, all the material sense objects come into vision, come into being, so this way. Yeah, Prabhupada was sort of, no. So at the same time, Sat-saṅgs Maharaj, who was, he was trying to give me some, he was looking in the sky, like, he was going like this to me. I didn't know what he was doing, I didn't understand. So Prabhupada finally said to me, "No, one of God's eyes is the sun, and your vision is dependent on that light to see." So I was thinking at that time that, wow, Prabhupada went into my heart. He saw what my contamination was, and he immediately told me that I should depend on Krishna, even for the gratification of seeing something nice. That is depending on Krishna. You should depend on Krishna, because otherwise, without Krishna, you would not be able to see this object. So even this sense gratification is dependent on Krishna. So I said, wow. So he was teaching me. We were talking about vision. how we can see Krishna in His holy name. So also the holy name is this, we have to learn how to see Krishna in His holy dimension. And we're dependent. But this is all external light. We turn all this off. We can't see anything. So we're dependent on Krishna. Even these lights are coming from the sun. So we're dependent on Krishna completely. So that's one story about Prabhupada. I promise stories about Prabhupada. Prabhupada went to, in 1975, to Caracas, Venezuela, the only time he actually went to the South American continent, was in Caracas, Venezuela. And we all went to see him from different places in South America. We were preaching. And we had different services, bodyguard in front of his door, and different services. And I don't know if you know H.D.G. Elon Chester. Hubby is a famous singer in
yes,
Venezuela.
Yes.
Famous, and people stop me on the street. He's like a very famous, not many years ago, but he was a famous singer.
Elon Chester.
Elon Chester,
Yes. Django.
Yeah, he has several CDs. His son is also a very good singer now. And he was singing in the temple room. And he has a very angelical voice, you know. So he was singing in the temple room. And Prabhupada had sent his servant to look for the person who was singing in the temple room, you know. So in this time period, Harvey had left. He'd gone somewhere else to the temple, and I was sitting there. So the devotee comes to the temple, sees me there, and he says, "Prabhupada wants to see you." I said, "Oh no! What did I do this time?" So they took me in front of Prabhupada, they plopped me in front of Prabhupada there, you know, and I'm looking at Prabhupada, and then the devotee says to me, Prabhupada was hearing this beautiful singing. Was that you singing there? And I thought, well, what do I do now? Do I say I was me and get the mercy from Prabhupada? He would praise me and I'd be so nice. Or I tell him the truth? I said, well, I was thinking, this was very quick. I was thinking, no, I have to tell the truth. Prabhupada's my spiritual master. I have to tell him the truth. And eventually, somehow or other, I'll get his mercy, but I'll have to tell him the truth. So I bowed my head and I said, no, Prabhupada. It wasn't me. So I looked up and Prabhupada said to me, yes, but you also chant very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for, I'm very happy to see you. Finally, he was telling me all about you. For so how many years? Years ago. And maybe I didn't believe you. That's why Krishna sent me here. He said, there's so many nice devotees. And it's true, you were so nice. And even devotees, the ISKCON devotees, they said to me, you know, he has such nice devotees with him. You know, they also appreciate how nice you are. And Prabhupada said we can conquer the world in 18 days if we're just gentle, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you're just nice.
You know what's happened that you was in Bhakti-kavi Atulānanda Ācārya, and was at that time it was so difficult for me to be devoted because I like everything that is related to Maya. Yes, it was difficult. I say to them, all of you are better than me because at that time it was difficult for me even to live without cigarettes. So I tried. But then Atulānanda, when he came and talked to me, he said, okay, you can be at home and try.
Sure.
Don't eat this, that, and that. I try to preach. Chant as much as you can. I try to tell to others. And when I called you by phone from you, I tell to others, and now there are others.
So many others. So that's your success. What can I say?
It's your success. You're guilty. You cannot.
You've given me some points there for Krishna. That's good. I need as many points as I can get. But you gave me the ingredients to do it. Otherwise, you can't do it unless you have the things to build on. You can't do it. You gave me the nice ingredients to do it because you were ready. I was just some instrument. So you helped like that. And I'm grateful that Krishna is giving me the opportunity to do some service like this. And I also helped you with this.
Your visit is very important for all of us. Give a lot of power.
And for me also, it's very, I feel very...
Sometimes we don't know what we do.
No. So here's an example of how you do something and it comes back to help you. Maharaj also, I did something and now it's coming back to me to help me become Krishna conscious. You know? So these are bouncing things that we'll do, and you can do the same thing. You will also get old. You will also meet someone you preached to or said something about Krishna conscious to. You will also have the same experience.
I remember in Bhakti-vedānta that time, he said in Spanish, chant Hare Krishna, ¿qué puede perder?
What can you lose?
What can you lose? He said, ¿qué puede perder? And there was one lady there. He said, really? He said, yeah, ¿qué puede perder? What can you lose? And I say, you will lose everything. I remember, like he talked about Prabhupada, I remember so many.
You remember so many details.
I remember you sometimes I want to talk to Maharaj, I say, I say, okay, we'll try. After he comes, say, okay, come, but in front of him do a reverence. You can do reverence. I say, okay, you're ready, come. I enter and Maharaj do some service there. You say, where we can find something to the flowers to put more. But I tell to them many times, I was like stupid. Because I see, Jivan Prabhu come from Vaikuntha. I was 20. And was there, Jagajivan Prabhu, and talk about that is not impersonal, because something impersonal like a stone. But was difficult because I sit there, and I think it was difficult with me because no questions, and I only any question. And I think to myself, I need quickly some question to continue to sit here in some way to direct us. So I think some question. I remember, maybe it's good to preach to people who have problems like blind people. Okay, better to begin by most of the problems. But you begin to think some stupid things, only to take time. And I sit there, and I think to myself at that time, really think, oh, this person is an angel. I can take this person home. I am ready. He can sit there. I will work for him. Everything. We will sit there. So beautiful. This nectar, this thing, incredible. After that, I went home and I think, no, I cannot be even to think to be disciple of such a high personality, so spiritual. And then I traveled to Israel for 22 years. But I think I take him with me because after that, I think so many times, really tell you about Guru, spiritual master, and all these retreats, so many things, and I talk about that, but I have to tell the truth that if you see in your jiva, my jiva, you know that this soul is like this thing deep inside. And what can you do? That is the real thing, the sincere thing. This connection is something. Nothing to do with organizations, with movements. Yeah, sometimes in my room I put a picture of Jiva in the good times. The real connection, the real thing. what can you do? And no matter of colors, at the end there is something very deep. And I know that whenever we preach Krishna consciousness, I know that you are happy even if you don't know.
No. That's true. It's interesting you mentioned this because I had a dream the other day. And in the dream I was preaching to blind people. Yes. I have now developed this whole, I'm going to start it when I go down again. I will be trying to do this.
That was my first question.
Yeah, so maybe Krishna, see, I was also not listening to Krishna. Krishna was telling me through him that I should do this. It's taken like 30 years. Well, sink in, So this might be an interesting avenue for preaching Krishna consciousness.
And you know what happened yesterday? It's incredible because you come back in time because so many years I become the organization, I meet so many people, I meet. But yesterday I know that, wow, Jagajivan Prabhu will come and I try to sleep and think all the meeting from the auto. And we try to sleep 1 hour, 2 hours. And I cannot sleep. 2 hours I sleep, I get up and wake. The same meetings all the day, but I'm not tired because something happens in the jiva sometimes. There are connections. When people talk about all this breathing, all of these things, there are some connections that the jiva don't know about political things. The jiva don't know nothing else. Only this, the love is beyond time and space.
Hare Krishna.
So